Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Meghana, and today we're going to be working on a new series of our focusing textural lessons with just one material, a black color pencil. I'm starting to make a slightly wavy line, starting from the bottom up, and then stopping kind of like midway, and then creating that same wavy line following that consecutive line next to it. Notice how the lines are thicker and darker towards the bottom and get lighter and thinner as they go towards the top. The wavy shapes are thicker at the bottom and getting slowly narrower. Notice how I'm shading the sides? Here I'm trying to make one of the sides of the wavy shapes slightly more darker and intense. I'm getting slightly lighter in pressure with my pencil, and I'm just kind of like pulling it a little bit from that black border. Now getting to the inside of those shapes, I'm going to take the same light pressure and just apply it to the crevices and the dents of those shapes. And also trying to ignore one side of it to show as the highlighted area. So I'm leaving a white strip towards the right side here, as you can see, and then making kind of like a darker shadow right next to that to highlight it even more. Okay, so again for the next one, shade in some shadows in the curves of the waves, and again leave some highlights. This is going to make it more prominent. If you just continuously shade the entire shape, it's going to lose its shape and it's just going to end up flat. So try to figure out ways to shade in some gray areas, but also leave some whites and really intense dark colors. When shading, I'm holding less pressure. If it helps you, you can hold it at a slant angle, but if you want to make your pressure a little bit more darker, you can hold it a little bit more upright with your pencil. You want to make sure your pencil strokes are pretty much soft and you're not getting too harsh of a line. It should really be able to blend just by using the pencil itself. Again, notice how I'm lightly shading on one side here and then doing the same with the other, and trying to leave some sort of highlights in the middle and going back into the wavelengths and adding a little bit of shadow in the crevices. So once we finish these shapes that almost resemble spaghetti, I'm creating these spiky lines towards the corner and trying to pull it out with my pencil, putting more pressure towards the center and then pulling it out and getting slightly less pressure. Your goal is to get some of the lines shorter and some longer. This way it's going to give more variation. Here I'm lightly using these jig-jaggedy lines to create towards the edge. Now I'm going with a bunch of short, intense dark lines to seal it up and lightly shading over it and one of the sides. This is going to make it pop a little bit more. It almost resembles a seashell. The next step is going to make the textures come to life. I'm vigorously shading with my pencil, applying an immense amount of pressure to shade in the background evenly. Make sure you're distributing the shading evenly so that it's one solid color. Notice how I'm also leaving a thin white border alongside the shapes. This is going to help develop more character to this texture without having to add more detail. Notice towards the sides, I'm just giving a slight gradients of the black. You want to do this background for the entire sides, but try not to do it towards the middle part where the spaghetti noodles are. The reason is because the shadows are already dark enough so that if we were to use that black color in the background again over there, it's just going to make it all flat. So finally, repeat this step for the entire background. I'm putting more pressure and shadowing just the tip area of the seashells. This is going to give a little bit more intensity and define the shape even more. Here I felt like adding a couple more spaghetti textures, so I just went ahead and went with that. But you don't have to make another one if you don't want to. I just felt like making a couple more. Here I'm repeating the same steps I did previously with the spaghetti shapes. Creating a one-sided dark borderline and also shading in the crevices. And finally pulling out a nice gradient along the side. Alright, so here again I'm pulling out more spikes and then creating a couple little bit lines. And I'm also putting a little bit more pressure towards the center and shading everything all around and towards the sides to give a little bit more of a roundedness. You can add as many or as little as you want of these patterns and change it up where you want it to be. Here I'm putting some of these patterns closer to each other and changing up the direction of the lines. You can make as many of these shapes as you want all around the piece. Here I'm going back and shading in those little areas towards the sides, and also I already previously put a little bit of an intense shade in towards the center. And finally going back again towards the background, I'm shading in a bold, dark black color and leaving in that white border again and going all around doing the same thing I did with the other side. Again, don't forget to get lighter as you go towards the sides. Remember, you don't need multiple tools to create work. You just need one. You just used one tool, and this is your final product.